Dear friends, have you ever experienced this? Waking up in the quiet of the night, you begin to ponder, have departed loved ones truly found peace? Does that cold gravestone bearing two dates, birth and death, genuinely signify the culmination of their story? According to Edgar Cayce, America's most renowned prophet, the soul's journey extends far beyond physical demise. Death is merely a doorway, he often stated during his famous trances. The soul persists, carrying with it all memories, emotions, and unfinished matters from its earthly existence. And Cayce was far from alone in this belief. Nearly every culture presents similar views of death, not as an ultimate conclusion, but as a transition. Consider the Buddhist bardo, Christian purgatory, or the ancestral realms of indigenous peoples. All these concepts suggest that the soul's transition isn't always instantaneous. Many of us have encountered unusual occurrences following the loss of loved ones. A familiar fragrance of perfume in an empty room, objects that shift on their own, or dreams where the departed seem to be communicating a message. Can all of this be dismissed as mere coincidence, imagination, or is there something more profound at play? A man named James, who had been married for 40 years, suffered the loss of his wife. Suddenly, he noticed her cherished flowers, daisies, beginning to bloom near their porch. It was the middle of winter, he recounted, and thick snow blanketed the ground. Yet, amidst the snow, fresh, vibrant daisies unexpectedly emerged. Initially, he found solace, but this was soon replaced by unease. Why was she still present? What prevented her from moving on? This inquiry prompted James to delve into Cayce's readings concerning the afterlife. His discoveries fundamentally altered his perception of death and the very experience of grieving. Edgar Cayce bequeathed over 14,000 documented prophetic readings. Thousands of these pertain to the soul's journey after death. He asserted that our emotions and actions during our lifetime can either facilitate the soul's progression or, conversely, hinder it. In one of his most profound readings, he elucidated, "The soul, upon transitioning to another dimension, must reconcile with all it experienced on earth before it can advance further. And we, the living, can also play a pivotal role in this process through forgiveness, concluding unfinished matters, and releasing pain. However, if we become mired in suffering, this generates energetic anchors that impede the soul's departure." In subsequent chapters, we will explore 5 critical pitfalls that, according to Cayce and numerous spiritual doctrines, prevent the soul from attaining complete serenity. As Cayce articulated in one of his readings, death is not an end, it is a transition, and perhaps the most common obstacle on the soul's path may surprise you. In a vast number of readings, Edgar Cayce highlighted excessive sorrow among the living acts as a potent anchor, holding the spirit in a state of transition. Grief is natural, he stated in a reading, but when it becomes overwhelming, it generates vibrations that tether the soul to the earthly plane, impeding its progress. When we persist in a state of profound despair, constantly pleading for the departed to return, we inadvertently create what Edgar Cayce termed thought forms. These are capable of traversing boundaries between worlds. Sarah devoted countless hours there, donning his attire, rewatching their wedding videos, and pleading for a sign of his presence. Yet, unwittingly, her actions inadvertently bound his soul to this plane, lingering on the boundary between realms. Edgar Cayce frequently underscored that the soul's post-mortem journey could be influenced by what he termed unfinished business. In his various readings, he reiterated, should unresolved conflicts or unkept promises persist from one's lifetime, these create energetic ties preventing the soul from ascending. He elucidated, everything we experience on earth accompanies us beyond. The burden of unfulfilled pledges and conflicts left unreconciled becomes particularly arduous. Such matters necessitate release before the soul can progress further. These concepts were not exclusive to Cayce's teachings. Similar insights are found across diverse traditions. Buddhism speaks of karma requiring balance. Christianity emphasizes the necessity of reconciliation for spiritual ascension. And indigenous spiritual practices globally refer to the completion of soul contracts before the spirit can merge with the ancestral world. A remarkable instance unfolded with a woman named Catherine. 3 years had passed since her father's sudden demise, but she was incessantly troubled by dreams involving him. In these dreams, he appeared distressed, repeatedly opening a specific desk drawer in his study, looking at her with despair, gesturing towards the drawer, yet remaining silent. Eventually, she decided to trust her intuition and meticulously inspected her father's old desk. Within it, she uncovered a hidden compartment containing a letter that had never been sent. It was addressed to his brother, whom he hadn't spoken to in decades. The letter expressed her father's profound regret and a sincere desire for reconciliation. Catherine located her uncle and delivered the letter. What transpired next was astonishing. That very night, her father reappeared in her dream. However, this time he simply stood afar, smiling, nodding, and then walked towards a brilliant light. From that moment, the disquieting dream ceased. Cayce would have posited that this wasn't merely psychological relief, but a genuine act of aid to her father's soul. He wrote in one reading, "Though the body may perish, the heart's obligations and sincere commitments endure as connections requiring resolution, either by the soul itself or by those remaining in the living world capable of acting on its behalf." Dr. Alan Botkin, a psychiatrist, pioneered a method he named induced after-death communication. He documented hundreds of cases where assisting in concluding unfinished matters brought solace to both the living and the deceased. Although his work emerged decades after Cayce's, a striking parallel exists between their insights. Cayce especially highlighted the significance of unfulfilled promises. He asserted, each promise generates an energetic link. If this link remains unfulfilled, an unkept promise made before passing, it creates a hook within the subtle energetic fabric, potentially retarding the soul's journey. James faced this exact predicament after the unexpected death of his brother Michael. In life, they had promised each other to utilize inherited funds to establish a scholarship honoring their alma mater. But when Michael died suddenly, James redirected all the funds to expand his own business. Years later, I started noticing strange synchronicity, he recounted. Michael's beloved songs would unexpectedly play on the radio during crucial moments. He'd have dreams where Michael seemed upset, and his cologne would suddenly be palpable in the air whenever James had a significant decision to make. All these occurrences subsided only after James, inspired by Cayce's works, finally established the scholarship as they had originally planned. Since then, he no longer visits me with sadness, James shared. Occasionally, I see him in dreams amidst beautiful vistas. He is calm and smiling. How then can one ascertain precisely what needs to be concluded? Cayce proposed several approaches. To begin, one should scrutinize recurring dreams or persistent thoughts about the deceased, particularly if they evoke anxiety or a sense of unresolved matters. These concepts, additionally, peculiar coincidences or unusual phenomena connected to that individual warrants close attention. Lastly, consider unfulfilled promises or conversations left hanging. Once you have identified what exactly requires completion, it becomes essential to undertake either symbolic or tangible actions. Even if literal resolution is unattainable, Cayce asserted in reading 36451 that sincere intentions and a symbolic gesture can effectively release the energetic bond. A prime illustration is Maria's account. Her mother, during her lifetime, yearned to return to her Greek homeland, a wish she never realized. Subsequently, Maria journeyed to Greece, bringing a handful of earth from her mother's grave to scatter in the village of her birth. Aloud, she declared, "Mother, I am completing your homecoming." That very night, her mother appeared in a dream, youthful and serene, strolling through a sun-drenched olive grove. It is crucial to remember that addressing unresolved matters benefits not solely the departed soul, it can also bring healing to those left behind. From Cayce's holistic perspective, the souls of the living and the deceased are intertwined, a concept he termed the continuity of consciousness across all states of existence. Sarah recounted her dreams involving Michael. He persistently appeared, fatigued and disoriented, as if striving to advance towards a guiding light, yet glancing back at her with evident distress. I couldn't fathom why he seemed so troubled, she reflected, when it was I who was enduring the suffering. However, Cayce issued a caution. When our grief becomes relentless and overwhelming, the soul may perceive an obligation to linger nearby to alleviate our anguish. He termed this phenomenon the soul's divided attention. Decades following Cayce's insights, psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, whose research on grief became widely known, also described analogous phenomena, though her framework lacked a spiritual component. She observed that the healthy navigation of loss gradually evolves into a serene acceptance, enabling both the living and the departed to progress. Such a remarkable convergence between spiritual revelations and scientific findings suggests our collective journey towards a more profound comprehension of the nature of bereavement. How then might one ascertain if their sorrow is inadvertently hindering a loved one's progress? Cayce's counsel was to scrutinize dreams and inexplicable occurrences in daily life. Should the departed appear distressed, disoriented, or attempt to convey significant messages within dreams, it may indicate an uncompleted transition. Furthermore, physical phenomena, such as unexplained sounds, shifting objects, or a palpable sense of presence, could serve as subtle indicators. This counsel does not imply that mourning is to be avoided. Grief is both natural and indispensable. Yet, as Cayce underscored, the nature of grief, rather than its mere existence, holds paramount importance. Cayce delineated two distinct categories of sorrow, that which liberates and that which retains. The grief that liberates, as he detailed in reading 3951, acknowledges the profound sorrow of separation, yet blesses the soul's continued journey. In stark contrast, the grief that retains demands the unattainable, that nothing should ever alter, that death itself be denied as a reality. Mark, a man who had tragically lost his teenage daughter in an automobile accident, first comprehended this critical distinction during support group sessions. For the initial year, my sorrow felt like a cage I had constructed around her memory, he confessed. The thought of her progressing without me was utterly unbearable. Then, one day a dream visited him. His daughter stood before magnificent gates, yet found herself unable to pass through them. Chains composed entirely of light extended from her directly towards him. To aid the departed, consider establishing symbolic rituals of release. For instance, compose heartfelt letters expressing enduring love and granting permission for the soul to journey onward. A third practice involves channeling the sorrow of loss into actions that genuinely reflect the values of the one who has passed. Fourthly, seek connection with others who deeply grasp the spiritual essence of such bereavement. It is crucial to remember that the act of letting go is not synonymous with forgetting. Edgar Cayce asserted that love is an eternal force permeating all dimensions. When we relinquish our grip and instead offer unwavering support, we create what he termed bridges of light. These luminous connections do not sever the bond, quite the opposite. They fortify it, bestowing true freedom upon the soul. Having examined the potential impediments a soul might encounter after physical death, a profound question emerges. How can we actively assist our departed in attaining peace? The answers offered by Edgar Cayce are remarkably practical. They extend beyond the confines of conventional religious traditions, yet they respectfully uphold the fundamental spiritual principles on which those traditions are built. The most profound offering to the departed, as Cayce articulated in reading 5768, is the liberation from earthly attachments, coupled with a pure ray of love conveyed through heartfelt prayer. This dual approach, conscious release combined with spiritual sustenance, is precisely what facilitates the soul's complete transition. Cayce also identified two other significant obstacles: an intense attachment to material possessions and incomplete or inappropriate funeral rites. Numerous readings from his work indicated that if an individual held an excessive fondness for objects during their lifetime, their consciousness could remain intricately connected to these items even after death. He explained that cherished belongings maintain an energetic link with their owner. When these items are transformed into untouched static memorials, they can become energetic anchors, ensnaring the soul's attention. A woman named Elena Hina experienced this firsthand following the passing of her husband, Richard. She meticulously preserved his study, keeping it in perfect order: books, spectacles, a pen, and all papers exactly as he had left them. "I sensed his presence in that room," she recounted. Initially, this provided solace, but she later realized something was amiss with his energy. It felt profoundly stuck. After familiarizing herself with Cayce's teachings, she began to distribute his belongings to others: his books to the students he had mentored, his musical instruments to young aspiring musicians, and his clothing to the shelter he had consistently supported. "With each such gesture, I felt a distinct shift," she shared. "I wasn't erasing his presence. I was transforming it into a dynamic flow, a contribution to the lives of others." Furthermore, Cayce heavily emphasized the critical importance of proper funeral ceremonies. These rites are not merely significant for the living, but also serve as a vital guiding beacon for the soul itself. In reading 1472, he wrote that such rituals generate a powerful spiritual impetus, enabling the soul to progress onward. In Maria's situation, her father had been interred against his explicit wishes. He had requested cremation and the scattering of his ashes in the mountains he deeply loved. However, due to family disagreements, he was buried in a conventional cemetery. Subsequently, peculiar occurrences began manifesting in the family home: dreams in which he appeared disoriented, unexplainable sounds, and pervasive sensations of a heavy, oppressive energy. The family then decided to conduct a memorial ceremony in the beloved mountains, incorporating readings, music, and gestures that truly reflected his spiritual inclinations. "Afterward, everything ceased," Maria explained, "and the dreams transformed completely. He appeared serene, often showing up in the mountains, looking younger and profoundly tranquil." From the profound wisdom of Edgar Cayce and contemporary grief psychology, 5 integrative practices can be discerned that effectively help souls find peace. So, how can we not only assist the departed, but also foster our own healing journey? Here are 5 practical steps that Edgar Cayce advised. Devise a simple yet meaningful ceremony, incorporating elements that held deep significance for your loved one. This could include their favorite music, cherished symbols, or chosen readings. Light a candle as a powerful symbol that their light continues to shine brightly. Then speak aloud words of blessing and release, making it clear that they are now free. They no longer need to be concerned with earthly matters. Compose a letter in which you express everything that remained unsaid. Seek forgiveness for any past conflicts, and importantly, extend forgiveness yourself. Please find below the rephrased text in English, adhering to all your specified requirements. Kindly read this message either at their grave or at a place of profound significance to them, then symbolically release it. For instance, you might burn it and scatter the ashes to the wind or water. Instead of preserving a room exactly as it was, consider thoughtfully who might benefit from their belongings. Grant beloved books to students, tools to aspiring musicians, or clothing to those in need at a shelter. As Cayce wisely conveyed, things too hold meaning. They are created to be utilized, to be shared, and to continue resonating within life's symphony. Transform your sorrow into actions that embody the values and spirit of the one who has passed. This could involve establishing scholarships, planting trees, engaging in volunteer work, or initiating creative endeavors. Such pursuits help to shift grief from a static emotion into a vibrant, enduring memory. Cayce referred to this process as channeling the energy of loss into the strength of remembrance. Regardless of your personal faith, acts of prayer, meditation, or simply directing warm thoughts towards envisioning your cherished loved one in light and peace forge pathways of assistance. According to Cayce, these paths remain accessible to souls across all dimensions. Ultimately, and most profoundly, Cayce affirmed, death is not the cessation of a relationship. Rather, it is its transformation. The bond between souls persists beyond physical separation, capable of deepening even further once liberated from material constraints. James, who applied these practices after the tragic loss of his daughter, shared his powerful testimony. I still yearn for her physical presence every single day, yet something truly extraordinary occurred. Our connection did not end. It evolved to a new level. A profound sense of calm descended, a knowing that she continues her journey. This doesn't diminish my love, but rather brings profound comfort. Cayce, in his reading number 253-6, articulated that love is the most potent force across all dimensions. When purified from attachment, becoming a blessing rather than a possessive hold, it transforms into a guiding light, illuminating the soul's eternal journey. May these reflections offer solace to your heart and serve as unwavering support for those you cherish, both in this realm and beyond. If this narrative deeply resonates with your soul, we invite you to consider supporting our channel. Please subscribe, like this video, and share it with anyone currently navigating a loss or seeking spiritual answers. Perhaps this very message will become a beacon of guidance for someone during their darkest hours. We encourage you to share your experiences in the comments below. Have you sensed the presence of those who have passed on? Were you able to find peace for yourself and for them? Your story possesses the power to inspire and uplift others. Remember the insightful words of Edgar Cayce, "We are truly one another's keepers." By uniting in a community of seekers and those who feel deeply, we assist each other in traversing life's most challenging transitions, honoring the infinite and sacred path of every soul. Until we meet again, friends, may light accompany your journey and the path of all those you hold dear on this side and the next.